Have you ever found yourself weighed down by guilt? Maybe it's something from the past, a mistake you can't seem to forgive yourself for, or even a sense of responsibility for things beyond your control. Guilt can be such a heavy burden, keeping us stuck and preventing us to move forward. Luckily, Bach Flower Remedies offer a natural and a gentle way to release guilt, ease self-judgment, and restore inner balance. In this video, I'll guide you through the best Bach Flower Remedies to help you process guilt, whether it's regret, self-blame, or an overwhelming sense of duty. Let's dive into the wisdom of flowers and explore how they can help you find emotional freedom. Hi, I'm Michelle, a Bach flower practitioner with a background in education, nature conservation, herbalism, and esoteric science. Now, what are Bach flower remedies for those who are not yet familiar with this natural healing system? Bach flower remedies are natural, plant-based essences that help balance emotions. They are developed by Dr. Edward Bach, and they gently support mental and emotional well-being by addressing feelings like fear, stress, guilt, and self-doubt. They work subtly, restoring harmony without suppressing emotions. They don't work on the physical level, but they work on the thoughts, feelings, vibration, the envelope of the body. They have saved my life. And so I am dedicated to make sure that I will tell everyone I know about them. Understanding guilt and how it affects us. Guilt is an emotion that often keeps us trapped in the past. It can manifest in different ways. For instance, regret, wishing we had done something differently. Self-blame, feeling responsible even when we did our best. And unrealistic responsibility, carrying burdens that aren't truly ours. Guilt can cause anxiety, self-doubt, and even physical symptoms like tension, digestive issues, fatigue, or even depression. Guilt is one of the worst feelings one can experience, I think. And if we would look at the work of David Hawkins, specifically the map of consciousness, the feeling of guilt has one of the lowest vibrations, scoring a 30, while joy would be a 540 on a scale. In other words, guilt is such a low vibration. No wonder it feels so terribly bad. The most common forms of guilt that I see in my practice are the following. Parental guilt. Feeling guilty for not spending enough time with your children, making mistakes in parenting, or not being the perfect parent, not being able to have enough financial resources, and so on and so on. Survivor's guilt, feeling guilty for being okay or thriving while others around are struggling, whether due to illness, financial hardship, or past trauma. When these people come in contact with manipulative people, you can see an enormous bad dynamic coming. And I can speak for myself, this isn't good for anyone. And then self-care guilt, feeling guilty for prioritizing your own needs, setting boundaries, or saying no to others, especially if you have a history of people-pleasing. Also, something relatable to my own story. Let me know in the comments if you have experienced any other forms of guilt so we can have a chat about it. The best Bach flower remedies for guilt. Luckily, we don't have to deal with this horrendous feeling on our own. Here's the most helpful Bach flower remedies when it comes to guilt. Pine, the remedy for self-blame and regret. If any feelings of guilt, use pine. It's a no-brainer. Pine helps when we carry a heavy burden of guilt, whether for things we have done or failed to do, but also in case we feel responsible for problems beyond our control or take on the mistakes of others. Suffering unnecessarily. It helps when you're also apologizing somehow without any reason, and sometimes this can actually even create a feeling for others that somehow you are to blame, so careful there. For example, imagine a mother who constantly feels guilty for not spending enough time with her children, even though she's doing her best to balance work and family. She apologizes frequently, even when no apology is needed, and she struggles to feel at peace with herself. Now, this feeling is really defeating her. In its positive state, pine allows us to acknowledge our mistakes, without endless punishing ourselves. We take responsibility where needed, but also recognize when we are not at fault. With Pine, we learn to forgive ourselves, make amends where possible, and move forward with self-acceptance and inner peace. It allows you to forgive yourself, see things in perspective, and recognize that you did your best at the time. It's perfect for people who apologize excessively or who feel unworthy. Crab apple, the remedy for self-criticism and shame. Normally, this remedy is particularly helpful for those who struggle with feelings of self-disgust or an obsessive focus on minor flaws. For example, someone may fixate on a small blemish on their skin while disregarding more important aspects of their whole health and well-being. Crabapple can also support those who are dealing with compulsive behaviors, such as excessive hand washing or repeatedly checking appliances, as they attempt to rid themselves of perceived contamination or imperfection. But it also helps with guilt. If guilt makes you feel impure or unclean inside, crabapple is the remedy for you. The flower helps with self-acceptance, especially if your guilt is tied to feelings of shame or not being good enough. Crabapple is known as the cleansing remedy often used when we feel impure, contaminated, or fixated on imperfections, whether physical, emotional, or mental. It's also the added sixth ingredient in the cream version of Dr. Bach's original crisis formula. Crabapple is often associated with cleansing and purification, and it's particularly helpful for those who feel ashamed or guilty about their appearance, actions, or circumstances. If someone is experiencing guilt about past actions or feeling like they are unworthy of love and care, crabapple can assist in bringing clarity and emotional release. For example, imagine someone who made a mistake in the past, such as maybe saying something hurtful to a loved one, and they might carry around guilt, replaying the event in their mind and feeling unworthy of forgiveness. While here, crabapple helps them cleanse these feelings and allowing them to see their actions from a more balanced perspective. It encourages self-compassion, releasing the hold of guilt has on their self-image and helping them embrace the idea of making amends without harsh self-judgment. Through crabapple, they can find the clarity to move forward without constantly feeling like they're tainted. In essence, crabapple assists in purifying the mind and spirit, supporting individuals in forgiving themselves and letting go of guilt. In its positive state, crabapple fosters self-acceptance and perspective. It helps us release obsessive worries, see ourselves as whole rather than flawed, and cultivate a sense of inner purity and peace. It also supports physical cleaning, making it useful for wound care and detoxification. It's also excellent if you obsess over small mistakes or if guilt makes you overly critical of yourself. Crabapple restores a sense of wholeness and helps you embrace self-love. Star of Bethlehem, the remedy for guilt linked to past trauma. Sometimes guilt is tied to deep emotional wounds or grief, feeling like we didn't do enough for someone or regretting something after a loss. Star of Bethlehem is known for its ability to help with trauma, shock, and deep emotional pain. It is particularly beneficial when someone has experienced a sudden or unexpected event that leaves them feeling numb, detached, or unable to process their emotions fully. It can also be useful when someone has suffered a loss or shock and is struggling to integrate the experiences into their emotional landscape. For example, imagine a person who just has gone through a sudden breakup. They may feel an overwhelming sense of shock, unable to fully grasp what has happened or how to move on. They may feel emotionally frozen, as if their heart has been shattered and they are unable to process the pain or make sense of the situation. You might feel solely responsible for the breakup, or maybe you want to break up with someone, but you stay with a person out of pure guilt. What very often occurs is the feeling of guilt after someone dies. For instance, you were in a car crash and your friend has died, but you didn't. This traumatic event can leave irrational feelings of guilt that are devastating to live with. In this case, Star of Bethlehem can help release the emotional shock and pain of the event. It helps restore inner peace, allowing the person to heal emotionally and begin to process their grief in a healthy way. It encourages a gentle return to emotional wholeness, allowing this person to feel supported and grounded as they move through the healing process. Star of Bethlehem helps individuals connect with their deeper emotional self, process trauma, and regain a sense of equilibrium, gently guiding them towards recovery and peace. Star of Bethlehem is a very powerful remedy for emotional healing. It helps dissolve the shock and pain from the past, and at the same time, it allows us to move forward with compassion rather than guilt. Rock water, the remedy for self-punishment. Do you hold yourself to impossibly high standards? Do you deny yourself happiness because you think you don't deserve it? Rock water is for people who punish themselves emotionally, believing they must always be perfect. Rock water is a remedy for those who are overly rigid, self-denying, or overly disciplined, often setting unrealistically high standards for themselves. It helps to release the pressure of perfectionism and encourages individuals to be more flexible, compassionate with themselves, and to embrace a healthier balance between striving for goals and allowing for self-care. For example, imagine someone who is constantly striving for perfection in every aspect of their life, whether it is their career or their, personal appearance or relationships. They might be so focused on discipline and self-control that they push themselves to the point of exhaustion, believing that they must always be on and perform at their best. This person may experience feelings of guilt or frustration when they don't meet their own ultra-high expectations, as they feel they are letting themselves down. In this case, rock water can help them release the pressure of perfectionism and allow for more ease and self-acceptance. The remedy helps soften their internal rigidity, guiding them to let go of extreme self-control and instead approach life with more balance. By using rock water, they can begin to forgive themselves for not being perfect. Happens to the best of us. Allowing themselves to take breaks and enjoy life's moments without guilt. It encourages them to cultivate more flexibility, helping them to accept that it's okay to be imperfect and to honor their own well-being. Rock water helps bring flexibility, self-kindness, and the ability to enjoy life without guilt. Red chestnut, the remedy for guilt about others. If your guilt comes from worrying about others, perhaps feeling you didn't protect someone enough or, taking on their problems as your own, red chestnut is the remedy for you. Red chestnut is a remedy for those who experience excessive worry and fear about the well-being of others, and often to the point of anxiety. People who need red chestnut tend to project their fears onto loved ones, worrying about potential harm or negative outcomes for them, even when no real threat is present. This worry can lead to a sense of guilt and helplessness, as they feel overwhelmed by the imagined problems of others. For example, imagine someone who constantly worries about their child, even when the child is safe and well. This person may feel anxiety over their child going to school, driving a car, or simply being outside the home, fearing something might have happened to them. Even the child is perfectly capable and healthy. The person with red chestnut fears something terrible will happen and struggles to control these anxious thoughts. Because they feel responsible for others, they might feel guilty when others are not in a constant state of bliss. And red chestnut helps in releasing this excessive worry by bringing a sense of calm and perspective. It assists in helping the person realize that their intense worry is not necessary and that their loved ones are capable of managing their own lives. The remedy encourages the individual to focus on their own emotional balance, allowing them to care for others without being consumed by fear. You are not responsible for the happiness of everyone around you. It is impossible. No need to feel guilty about that. Red chestnut provides a sense of peace, helping people to offer love and support without feeling overwhelmed by the emotional burdens of others. It helps restore a healthy boundary, allowing the person to feel connected but not overly anxious. It helps you trust that others are on their life path and releases the overwhelming sense of responsibility for their well-being. How to use these remedies. Now that you know which remedy can help with guilt, here's how to use them. If you're using a single remedy, add 2 drops of the chosen remedy to a glass of water and sip throughout the day. When you're using a combination remedy, so if multiple remedies resonate with you, you can create a treatment bottle. You take a 30 milliliter dropper bottle filled with spring water and you add 2 drops of each chosen remedy, up to 7 in total. And then you take 4 drops 4 times per day. Remember, Bach Flower Remedies work subtle and gentle over time. So take them consistently for a few weeks and you'll notice emotional shifts happening naturally. Guilt is a heavy emotion, but it doesn't have to define you or your life. With the support of Bach Flower Remedies, you can release the past, embrace self-compassion, and step forward with a lighter heart. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with anyone who might need it. And if you want more guidance, feel free to comment below. I'd love to help. If you want more help, you can subscribe to my free class, How I Turned Stress into Strength Using Personalized Remedies, and how you can do it too. You'll find a link in the video description together with a link to my course, Bloom into Balance, where I teach you how to turn your anxiety around with the help of Bach Flower Remedies. No prior knowledge needed. And I also have a free beginner's guide in my link. Thanks for being here with me, and I see you in the next one.